Thank you so much for coming out. Before we get started, I want to let you know that our meetings are available on PCC's YouTube channel. So we have about maybe four or five different videos from previous speakers. But today, we have Nicky G's Neezy.
Yeah.
Nicky G from Power 106. She's an alumnus of PCC. She graduated from the TVR department, or TVR program. Mr. Scott Carter speaks very highly of you and your success.
I pay him to say all that. Everything. Everything.
So without further ado, Nicky G, thank you.
Hey guys. Okay, so first I'm just going to tell you guys how I became interested in radio and everything. So you guys are all involved in like the telecommunications, and is it just radio or is it radio and television? Radio. All right. Radio and television. Nice. I did just radio, but the way it started, can I actually close this door?
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Okay, because I'm going to get very distracted. Well, my whole life I wanted to be a pediatrician. I wanted to be a doctor, and you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be a doctor either. Then I got here and I realized I don't like seeing blood, so I kind of was like, yeah, I can't do that. So I really sat down and thought about what exactly it was that I loved, and I love music. There's nothing in this world I love more than music, you know, besides family, of course. So I thought, well, the closest thing to music, since I can't sing and I can't dance, so the closest thing is radio. So I enrolled in a radio class. As soon as I walked in, I completely fell in love. I saw all the equipment and I was like, oh shit, like this is for me. So I fell in love with it. Hi, come on in. I took all the classes. I met great teachers. Is Mr. Rudisil still here? Yeah, Mr. Rudisil. He just retired? Oh. Yeah, he was my first teacher. And I remember just completely falling in love. I took all the classes, and then I took Scott Carter, one of his classes. And then his focus is more on like live radio, and I love that. And I remember someone told me that you can't make it in Los Angeles if you're from Los Angeles. You have to start somewhere small. Has anyone told you guys that? Okay, it's cool, yeah, do that, but don't let that get in your way. Because what I did after I heard that, I took my ass online and I found a job in LA. So I found Moving 93.9. Hi. Moving 93.9 is, or was, a sister station of Power 106. So I noticed that it was like a brand new station. They're hiring for street team. So I applied, I auditioned, but first I actually applied to Power 106. And Power 106 called me back for the street team, and I auditioned, and I got an interview, and I thought I got it. Then I didn't get it. They called and were like, oh, you're great, thanks, but, you know, we'll pass. Yeah, I was heartbroken. Yeah, and then they ended up, I applied for Moving 93.9, which was their sister station, and they called me. I auditioned for them. Hi. And I didn't get it with Moving. Then Power called me again. I had another interview. I didn't get it. Then they gave my resume back to Moving 93.9. So it was just this little game of Power 106, Moving 93.9, Power 106. Nobody was hiring me. So then Moving 93.9 finally hired me. They got sick of me because I was always there. So yeah, so then they got sick of me, so they hired me, right? They ended up loving me. I was one of like the best street teamers on the team or whatever. Then I became, you know, you become friends with people there, and you network. And one of my friends who was there who was on the street team too, he heard about a position in Palm Springs to do a weekend gig. So he got like I think it was like a 10 to 2 position in Palm Springs on air. Then he was like, Nick, you should just, you know, audition for it. So I was like, okay. And this is the thing, side note, this business works with who you know. Who you know is so imperative of your success. Because if I didn't know him, then he wouldn't just like slide me in. Because if I was on the outside, if I wanted that position, I would have had to apply and keep calling, and you know, the whole Power 106 Moving 93.9 thing, you know what I mean? So I auditioned, I went with him one day, met the PD. I auditioned, I just got the gig, like just got it on the spot. So I worked there. I was 19 years old. I was traveling to Palm Springs. I was doing my on-air gig there, Then I would come back. Side note, I got promoted to the assistant event coordinator position for Moving 93.9. So I was running the street team at 19, plus I was on air. So I was just like completely hustling. Then a year later, I decided, you know, Palm Springs just wasn't it for me because I was in LA. And I was like, I'm in LA, but then I'm going back to a smaller market. So I decided to quit KRCK, the station I was at. Then I just was completely focused on my Moving 93.9 stuff, right? Then the unthinkable happened, and another station purchased Moving 93.9. Then everybody got let go of Moving 93.9. So everyone was like, what the hell, what do I do? Then, but before that, I'm in the same building of Power 106. So I would see Power 106 people, but I was told, you're Moving 93.9, you stay on the Moving 93.9 side. But I became friends with this guy named Mondo Fresco. So he approached me and was like, hey, you know, I like your work ethic. You know, can you help out the show? So he had the night show. So, you know, I would help out, and then he eventually asked me to be his producer. So it just kind of worked out perfectly because where Moving 93.9 was ending, I picked up at Power 106. So, but I was only there like at nights and no one would see me, but like people still knew I was there. So about a year later, I was there with Mondo Fresco, but I wasn't during the day, so I didn't see all the PDs. I didn't see everybody there. Just that it was at night because everyone leaves at 6 o'clock. A year later, I got a side job, like a little side, like retailer job too, just because, you know, radio doesn't pay well. I don't know if you guys know that or not. Yeah, it doesn't pay well, so I had to get, you know, another job somewhere else. And but when I was there at Moving 93.9 every day, I met Big Boy and I met Fuzzy, his show coordinator, and they just remembered me. So a year later, they were digging in their, you know, contacts and stuff, and they found my number. And Liz Hernandez, Luscious Liz, was going to go on vacation. So they needed someone to cover her "This Just Handed to Me" segment. So they hit me up and was like, "Hey, we heard you're on at Palm Springs. You know, are you still interested in doing on-air stuff because Liz is leaving just to go on vacation?" So I was like, "Yeah, like I'll do it." So I wasn't as casual like that. I was like jumping up and down and freaking out that I was gonna be, because Big Boy's Neighborhood is syndicated. It's nationwide. So if I'm there doing the news, not only is it for 4 million people here in LA, but it's also worldwide. So it's huge. I was freaking out. So they scheduled me for 2 days. They said, okay, you know, just do it 2 days. Someone else is gonna do 2 days and whatever. So I did 2 days. I completely killed it those 2 days. So they called me and was like, hey, you know what, Liz is taking, she's gonna take like an extra day or whatever. Can you do another day? So I was like, hell yeah, I can do another day. So I did another day. Then I kind of didn't hear from them for a while, and then the producer would hit me up and be like, hey, Liz missed her flight from Mexico. Can you cover her? Cool, I would cover her. Then she went on vacation again. Can you cover? Cool. But then in between that time, I'm still working my retail job. I'm producing Mondo's show. I'm still trying to get my hands in other things. Then they call me and say, you know what, why don't you just come in once a week? We'll just find something for you. So I would come in once a week and just do odds and ends, like just do like random things they needed. Then it went from once a week to, hey, come back tomorrow. Come back in tomorrow, come back in tomorrow. Then it was, hey, we want you here. We don't exactly have a position for you, but we want you here in the building. So I was there in the building. So then now, fast forward now, a year and a half later, I'm still working for Big Boy's Neighborhood. I run all his social media, so his Twitter and his Facebook, like all the Facebook stuff that you see every morning, that's really me pretending to be him, posting, that's really me. His tweets. Uh-oh, secret's out. Yeah, don't tell him I told you guys, okay? I know, I'm gonna get in trouble. No, I won't. But his tweets are me for the most part. Sometimes he'll jump on and he'll reply to people. I don't reply to people because I think that kind of, you know, it kind of sucks. So he replies to people sometimes, but it's mainly me and all like the twit pics and stuff from the studio. That's all me taking those pictures. I work on the business side too because we do have affiliates in different cities. So I work, and I also am the assistant producer for the show. So it's just like I have this position that's kind of everything. And Big Boy calls me just the neighborhood everything, is what Big just says. Like when he introduces me, he's like, I don't know, she just kind of does everything. So fast forward to now, well, I'm still doing social media stuff. You know what? I actually have some. You guys were saying earlier, you guys all have Twitter pages, right? And Facebook. You don't have a Twitter page? Girl, you better get one today. And not for just to be trendy. Hi. Not just to be trendy, not just because everyone's doing it, because social media is very important with, come on in. No? Yeah? Yeah, come on in. Sit next to me. So social media is important. You want to brand yourself. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to be on air? You guys want to do producing, engineering? Directing. On air? On air. On the air. I like that. Okay, so if you want to be on air, especially, you have to have a Twitter account. You have to have a Facebook account because that's your brand. You are your brand, and you're representing yourself at all times. And people are like, "Who is this person?" You seem important. That's another thing. When you're on social media, you seem more important than what you really are. I seem like I'm like awesome on Twitter just because, you know, I've had a Twitter account probably for a couple years now, so I have more followers, and I seem kind of cool on Twitter. I seem like, you know, I must be someone important. I'm not that important. I'm just, you know, hardworking. I just know people who know people, you know. So you guys all should have a Twitter account. You guys all should have a Facebook account. Don't forget that people are always watching. Do not forget that people spy, and people like to be little spectators and see what you're tweeting, and you got to be careful though with that. And I know I'm kind of like going off to the side just because I really want you guys to know this. Make sure that your grammar is correct. Like, read your tweets, reread your tweets, then read it one more time, then tweet it, because you don't want to use the wrong kind of there, the wrong you are, because if someone else sees, they're like, okay, well, you're kind of like don't really know the difference of your, and you're, you know, either you're a college student or you're representing a company, and you got to be intelligent, right? So make sure that you do have a Twitter account, one. Make sure you reread everything. Make sure that your grammar is completely on point. Remember that people are always watching, because Big Boy would go on my Twitter account. And Fuzzy, his show coordinator, would go on my Twitter account. And our program director would go on my Twitter account to make sure I'm not kind of talking BS, and I'm not cussing, and I'm not acting crazy, you know, and acting foolish, because people do. People get caught up. And people, you know, when you do DMs, you know, replying to people is great, so always reply to people, and your DMs, just make sure that, remember that you're representing yourself, and you're representing a potential brand. So you don't want to be wild and crazy and drinking with your friends and being stupid, and then trying to get a job, you know, at, I don't know, Kiss FM or Power 106 or Star or wherever you're trying to go. So make sure you want to brand yourself, with your tweets and with Facebook and all. What else? Other advice do I have for social media? Oh, and also be careful with how biased you are. Because if you're talking mess about Lindsay Lohan, or you're talking mess about Wendy Williams, or whoever it is, right? You never know if you might be working for them eventually. Get what I'm saying? Talk mess about Wendy Williams. Oh man, this girl's huge, and like all this mess. And then you meet her, and what if she saw your tweet? What if she heard about it? Or what if one of your followers saw it and was like, hey, didn't you say that you hated Wendy Williams before? Then it just kind of messes you up. So be careful. Don't be so biased with your tweets. Just remember, people are always watching. Another don't get caught up in like a little gossip and stuff at the station. Don't get caught up in stupid things, because, you know, you work with these people every day. It's kind of like when you live with someone, right? Where you get sick of them, and, oh man, I can't stand this person. But this is like the same thing with work. Like you get caught up in gossip and stuff, and this is stuff that you guys already know, but you have no idea how much this crap happens inside. And PDs get involved, and it's stupid. So don't get involved in gossip and all that BS. You never know who's gonna be your next boss. I remember this one guy used to talk crap about, you know, our boss on the street team, and he would be like, oh, I hate this boss, and he's so stupid, he doesn't know how to schedule, and blah, blah, blah. I ended up later being his boss, and he was probably 15 years older than me. And he was talking so much crap about, you know, how you manage things and blah, 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 and, you know, I eventually became his boss. I knew how he functioned, I knew how he worked, and I knew that he was sleazy and sly and, you know, would do things on the side and stuff. So, you know, you never know who your next boss is going to be, because I ended up being his boss. And I ended, like, later, one of my interns became, now she's a peer of mine, and, you know, her and I worked together on a lot of projects. Let's see, what else do I have for you guys? Never get comfortable. The best way to get kicked out, the best way to get knocked off of your chair is when you're sitting back with your feet up. If you're comfortable in your position, someone will come under you and will take your position. Do not ever get comfortable. And know your position, own your position, even if you're an intern, even if you're an assistant, even if you're getting coffee and you hate getting that person coffee, own that. Because you never know who else is watching, and you never know, because if you're, you know, being a brat about getting someone coffee, or being a brat about, like, you don't want to be, I don't want to be here, and whatever, then, you know, you ain't got to be there. Someone else can come under and get your position. Would gladly take your position and make that theirs, and then move up quickly. You know, own that. Own your position. Own whatever it is, and don't ever get comfortable in that position. I think that's kind of, I think that's it. Yeah. That's my story. That's my do's and don'ts. You guys have a question? What's up?
So what major challenges have you faced as a producer on your radio station?
Well, I produced, past tense, Mondo Fresco show. I produced it for 2 years. I stopped doing that recently because they moved his show to Sunday night, and he gets off at midnight, and I got to be up the next morning, stupid early, so there's no way I can do that. As a producer, the challenges are to think on your feet, because there's so much going on. You guys know how a clock works, and, you know, every station has their clock, and you go to commercials at this point, you have to hit sponsors, you have to answer the phone lines, you have to make sure you're giving away the right prize. So just being on top of your stuff completely, watching the clock, watching a talent, watching your stuff, and that was my biggest challenge, was just making sure you're completely, you know, on point with everything. Yes?
My question, being that you took Scott's 120 class, and you've been on the air in an actual station, how different was it being on the air at PCC and then being on the air at Power 106? How different is it?
I think it was just, I would bug out where I would be like, people are actually listening. 4 million people are listening to me right now in LA. X amount of people are listening here, you know, in Palm Springs. So it's just really, it's just inside your head. It's really getting over your head and thinking like, oh my gosh, people are actually listening. Don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up. Don't think that. Just own your show. Be you, you know, be nice. Always be kind to people on air and when you meet people, of course. Yeah, that's just probably the only difference. Just getting over it mentally. Hi.
So what's one of your best experiences working, like, in the business period now?
The people I meet are incredible. I work with such talented people, and they inspire me because, you know, they're there, they have their own goal in mind, they have their own lane, but they're all so incredibly talented. And like I said before, you never know who's gonna be your next boss, you never know who you're gonna be working with. I met, you guys are familiar with Big Sean? I met Big Sean years ago, and I was nice to him. He was just trying to get in the game, and he was, I don't think he was signed yet. I think where he just got signed or something, and, you know, he's just trying to make it. And I met him, and I wasn't mean, because we get a lot of people hitting us up like, oh, play our record, listen to this song, you know, whatever. But I ended up meeting him, you know, being cool with him still. Now we're like best friends forever. Now my birthday's next week, and I have him performing at my club next week, because you never know, you know, who you meet, and just he's such a talented person, just as a person. You get what I'm saying? So. I love working with people who are just incredibly talented. Yeah?
Did you take any of the internship classes here, like 128 or 128?
I took an internship class, I did. It was for like a super small internet station. And I don't even remember what it was called. It was like a very small station. And it was cool. It didn't really teach me much, but at that time I was already at moving, you know. But intern positions, like, don't frown on that. Because at the station, a lot of the interns at our station, actually, we end up hiring. We end up hiring a lot. Well, let me take that back. We hire the interns that work hard. Interns come in, if you just do A, B, and C, we're not going to hire you. If you do A, B, C, D, and then the rest of the alphabet and find things to do, then we end up hiring them because they're hardworking. Power 106 is the #1 hip-hop station in LA. We don't want someone just to do A, B, and C. And we want people to think outside the box, you know, so, yeah.
That was actually my question. When you're interviewing or going through resumes to hire, what do you look for? What stands out?
What stands out to us first is visually how it looks. How does your resume look? If it looks like you just typed it in 2 seconds, probably not going to look at it. We're probably not going to be like, we're not impressed by it because you only did A, B, and C. You didn't do beyond. We want something, we want to be wowed by, we want the resume to have personality, because then we know you have personality. And then from there, once it catches our eye visually, then we'll go through and see, you know, what your experience is and who you worked for. And say if you worked for KISS FM, then I would call someone at KISS FM, be like, hey, how's so-and-so? Is she cool? Yeah, she's good? Okay, dope. Let's hire her. Let's, you know, bring her in for an interview. Yeah, so visually, make your resumes and make your applications look cool. Make it look like, give it personality. Because you want to be a personality, right? Well, most of you. And even as if you want to be a producer, you want to be a director, you still have to have personality. You don't want to be just a boring piece of paper, Times New Roman 12 font. No one wants that.
Do you mean like put like pictures? Do you mean like
put pictures, yeah. Put pictures, put color. If you're going for a social media position, whatever it is in the industry, make your font look like a Twitter font. Like, make the colors match Twitter. Make, you know, add pictures, add personality. Put, you know, invest in it. Make your, invest time and invest money. Make your package look nice. Get it laminated. Do something cool.
Is there any particular software that you have to learn to help you get to where you are? Like as far as digital audio workstation?
Not really, because my experience here, you guys use Scott system? Pro Tools? You guys, Adobe. No, you guys use another program. Pro Tools, that's like an editing software. Well, not really, because we use different stuff at Power than stuff that was used here, but just that it helped me that I kind of got used to moving my hands around, and that's probably it, because I had to learn it again at the station.
What software are you using at Power?
Well, the producers and the engineers use all Pro Tools. They use Pro Tools, they use Adobe Audition, and we use Vox Pro.
As an on-air talent, when did you notice your speaking skills like improving the most?
It took time, and it was in Palm Springs. What I would do is every week I would take my air check, my whole show, I would bring it back to LA, and I was lucky enough to have a mentor, someone who worked at Moving 93.9 who was on air. So him and I would sit down and go over our air check, my air check, and give me pointers and say, do this, don't do that, say your name this way, your inflection here should be up instead of down, and you know, I had that mentor. So I would go back and listen to air checks, and I would perfect my craft. And I wouldn't just do A, B, and C, you know.
How did you end up finding yourself a mentor? How did that happen?
I was just nice at the station. I was just nice to people. Yeah. I mean, you never know who's watching, right? And so he kind of saw a little potential, and he wanted to help me, and, you know, he did. Yeah.
Have you worked the board at the station?
Yeah, I have, as Mondo's producer.
How has that been in respects to comparing it to working the board at PCC and then in the actual station?
Well, the board is different, but it's the same in a sense, because you know, all you gotta do is just move your levels up and down or whatever. Knowing my levels was important, and I learned that here, especially working with a live mixer. Mondo Fresco's on, and we have a live mixer who's a live DJ, right? So I have to watch his levels, because certain DJs like their stuff loud, others like it low, so I have to make sure this is up and that is up, and that goes back again to my producer ways, and my biggest challenge is making sure you're on top of your stuff. So I had to make sure that if you pre-recorded the talk break, I had to make sure it was up in Vox Pro when to hit it. If there was other elements I had to hit in our Scott system, I would hit those elements and make sure all my levels were cool. So I learned levels here. I learned how that functioned here. Because when you're there, they teach you, the board, but they expect you to already know levels and, things like that.
Okay, this one's a two-part question.
Okay, I like two-part questions.
Okay. Is it hard to, like, or like, is it inexpensive to get a basic internet radio station running? And have you had on your radio station any major producers or celebrities come on?
Okay, to answer your first question, is it expensive to run my own internet show? Is that what you mean?
Is it like pretty complicated to get up and running on
an internet show?
Like in terms of equipment and
equipment. You know what? I never did that. Scott always encouraged me to do. He always encouraged me to buy my own mixer. Did he encourage you guys to do that? Yeah. Get your own equipment? Yeah. I never did that. I mean, it's cool because you practice it, right? But I'm kind of the person, I'm that person where I don't like small steps. So instead of getting a mixer at home and recording at home, I was like, bump that. Let me just practice on air. Let me just get this on air position. Like, I was stubborn. I'm very stubborn in the sense where, like, I don't like little small steps. So I just jumped the gun and, met someone who knew someone who got me in somewhere. So, but it works. Like, I know people, in my same class, in the classes that I took that got the mixer and that practiced at home, and that's not bad. You should do it. If it's expensive, I think it's probably a few $100s to get the mic, to get like the mic stand and the mixer, and to get Adobe Audition, or if you want, Pro Tools is kind of expensive too. So, and has big artists or celebrities come to the station? Yes, they come in all the time. Our last artist that we had in, I don't know if you guys know of him, Wale. Yeah. Wale was at the station last week. Justin Bieber was there 2 weeks ago. Did you guys see the video where he was rapping? That was crazy. Yeah, so, yeah, we have celebrities coming all the time.
Yeah, so how do you get a hold of them?
How do I get a hold of them?
Yeah.
Well, our show coordinator, his name is Fuzzy. He's been in the industry for years, probably like 20-some years, right? You just meet people along the way. You be cool with them, right? Like the story I gave earlier about Big Sean. He was smaller. He wasn't famous. He wasn't big yet, but you just grow. And then he knew his manager, and his manager wasn't, managing any big artists yet. So you just maintain relationships, and then, you keep contact with people. You take people out to lunch. You go and have drinks with people. Everyone likes to drink in LA. Go out to drinks, invite someone to drink, and they'll be like, hell yeah, let's go drink. I guarantee that they'll meet with you if you say, hey, let's grab a few drinks. So, yes?
Let's say Scott showed us a picture with you and Quentin Tarantino in it.
Oh yeah, that was one of the first days that I covered Liz.
And also, do you guys do podcasts at Power 106? And if you do, how do you get that started? Would that be easier to do? Because me and him want to do a sports podcast.
Oh, dope.
So would that be? I mean, obviously we don't have a studio, so we'd have to do it from our own house.
Mhm.
So would we need the same equipment for his radio internet show? Or, how would you start up a podcast? Do you know?
Yes. So Mondo Fresco, he has podcasts that him and I would actually do together. I was his producer, but I was also on air with him. So we started this podcast called New-ish, where it's all new music, like newer music than what we play on Power. This is like our own on the side thing we did. We had access to studios, which is easier. So if you guys do it at home, as long as, well, you do want to pay attention to the quality of the audio. But if you guys are just getting started, kind of don't worry about that right now. Get in the groove of things and know your sports stuff, know each other. Make sure you guys if you guys really want to do it, you guys are going to stick it out. Yeah, okay, cool. Because people start hating each other. Huh?
You do the sports radio show.
Oh, dope. Yeah, so what you do, I mean, what we did is, or we still do, is we upload it on iTunes. So we make it available, and I think anyone can do that. Anyone can start up a podcast on iTunes. So we would do that, and we would use Twitter and Facebook. to get it out. So remember how I told you guys how social media is really important? So you use your Twitter account, you use your Facebook account. Hey guys, listen to, my sports show. Actually, take that back. You don't say, hey guys, listen to this, because people aren't gonna listen to it. If you say, damn, like the NBA, like there's no NBA this year, make it catchy. I'll be like, what, there's no NBA? And then I'll click on it, and then I'll hear you guys. So make sure you guys have like a catchy little way to get my attention. So to answer your question, don't worry too much about quality right now. You want to get in the groove of it. That will come later, because you can do it here or at the station, or later you'll get a job somewhere else and you'll have access to a studio. Try to upload it on iTunes. Look into that, on how you can upload your podcasts, and then get it out. Start a website too. Start a website, invest in that, because everyone's online anyway. So it'll just be, people are on the computer anyway, so it'll be easy. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yeah.
I know you said using your Twitter and your Facebook and stuff. I don't use Facebook that much. I'm always on Twitter. How do you network yourself when you don't really go out as much? I keep my circle small of friends, because I don't really trust people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of hard when you don't, my friends, we don't share the same, not saying value, we don't share the same idea career path. So it's kind of hard for me to go. I don't want, not saying don't want to go by myself, because you always have to be independent, but how do you network yourself outside of meeting different people, bigger people, to get higher?
Well, you just go out. Really, because when I first started, I knew someone who was at Power, but he actually never helped me get in anyway. So it's really me doing all the work. But meeting people now here, your peers, because someone in this room, depending on how hard you guys really work and how bad you guys really want it, you guys are gonna make it. As long, if you really, really want it, you're gonna make it. So be cool with the girl sitting next to you. Be cool with, okay, see? Maintain that friendship. After you guys graduate from here and graduate the program or whatever, stay in contact with her. Stay in contact with everybody here, because you never know, if someone's gonna be a producer or director for something that you wanna be a talent for, and then, oh, I remember so-and-so, and keep in contact with them. That's a really good way. When you go out, when you meet people, ask, and meet anybody, I'm saying. Get their Twitter. Hey, you got a Twitter account? Follow me. Whatever, then you become buddies or friends, and then you just never know who does what. You can be at a bar and meet a cute little dude, and that cute little dude works at ESPN, and you don't know that, though, because everybody, especially being in LA, everybody is somebody, so yeah. And then just stay on Twitter. On Facebook, be careful on Facebook, because it's more personal, because they can see pictures and they can see, things that you're doing, which is cool, but you gotta just be careful that you don't want people to get too into your business, because that's kind of what I'm going through too with my Facebook. I had to delete a lot of pictures, and when I realized, damn, people are recognizing my mom and people are recognizing my brothers, this is weird. People are saying oh, dude, I saw that twit pic of you and your brother, and I was like, oh, shoot, people actually. Another thing, Scott sent me, he Googled me, I guess, and my twit pic account was there, and he went into my twit pic account. Scott doesn't have a Twitter account. He got one of the pictures that I tweeted, and I was like, oh, damn, this stuff is very accessible. Just be careful what you put up.
What's your Twitter account on Facebook?
My Twitter account is at Nicky G. N-I-C-K. Should I write it up here?
Yeah.
Do we got pens? No pens? Can I go in here? Oh, no, I can't. Well, it's at Nicky G. It's N-I-C-K-Y.
We'll get that for you.
G-Z, huh? I like that guy. I'm sorry? N-I-C-K-Y-G-E-E-Z-Y. And my Facebook is the same.
I have a question. In respect to producing a radio show, what does that entail for you? What do you have to do to produce a Power show?
Well, a morning show and a night show, they're completely different. You guys know about PPM?
No.
PPM it's a people meter. It's a new way that we monitor ratings. What they do is the chosen few will get like a beeper looking thing that they attach themselves, their purse, whatever. Whenever they go out, they that little pager beeper thing picks up frequencies of, it picks up, oh, you're listening to Kiss FM, Power 106 for 20 minutes. Even though you're not really listening, you could kind of be passing a store, you know, whatever. So in that sense, now that PPM is here, people don't lie about listening to Power 106 from 6 a.m. to midnight, because people don't just do that. People don't do that. So the morning show, we talk more. So there are longer talk breaks. So the clock is completely different than a night show. A night show, you can only speak for 30 seconds. I don't know if you guys know this. That in LA, PPM is so heavy that you can only speak for about 30 seconds. And if you speak any longer than that, people tune out and, you know, they're not going to listen to your show anymore. So what was your question?
What does producing entail?
Producing entails being the person that knows everything and monitors everything. I have to make sure the talent knows what he or she's talking about, when they're talking about it, what you just talked about, what we need to record. We still need to record. You have commercials in 2 minutes. You have to make sure that you have to hit this sponsor because this, you know, this client is paying X amount of money for this. So just a producer is someone who, I knew I liked you. A producer is someone who just makes sure you're on top of everything and make sure you don't miss a beat. Yeah, and you, man, it's crazy. Our producer for the morning show is a beast. He is just on top of everything. So that's what a producer does. Yeah?
Since your show is all around, do you produce different shows for different areas or just basically the same show?
Well, I used to produce Mondo's show. So that was just his show, and it was the night show. With the morning shows, I assist with the production or producing. So it's, you know, it's still different, but I don't go to other cities and other radio stations, because once you work for a station in LA, you can't work for the competition.
So it's the same show that you hear everywhere, right? It's not like particularly.
Oh, you mean syndication? Yeah. Syndication, yes and no. LA we customize LA's show to be more LA. So we have 2 studios. There's a local studio that Big Boy uses and Yessie uses, Mondo uses, Felly and J. Cruz. They all use this station, right? But Big Boy also has his own studio, and that's where we record all the national stuff. So every morning they go from one studio to the next. Power 106, we localize it more, where we'll talk about Kobe Bryant, and we're more biased to the Lakers. We love the Lakers more. On national, we're not biased at all. So in a sense, they are the same show, but the elements are a little bit different. We have features like, we have something called Big BZ TVZ that we play on the national show that we don't play in LA. Mm-hmm.
So, Nicky, I was just wondering, what do you see the radio business heading into? I know blogging, like podcast, is starting up, but what do you see there?
Radio's never gonna die. As much as people saying like radio's dead, it's not gonna die. Hip hop is dead. Hip hop's not dead. No, it's just different. And in a sense where like hip hop, there's different. There's like now there's electro and house and that kind of mesh into hip hop, and so it's kind of the same thing. Like now there's the terrestrial radio, then there's blogging, there's podcasts. It's just, you know, it's different. Radio's never gonna die.
It evolves.
Yeah, it evolves. Exactly. I like you too. Yeah.
And right, as far as it evolving, do you ever see the Big Boy radio show becoming a radio television show?
Yes, Big Boy just filmed a pilot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he just filmed a pilot called Big Boy's Neighborhood. And except the characters, they represent people at the station, but they're not them. But it's just like drama that goes on in the studio, you know. Now and I think it's still being edited now, so it's not like out, or they haven't distributed it to different companies, whatever. So yes, to answer your question, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever have challenges with like talent, like they give you trouble, or like either booking them to try to come to the show and stuff?
Wait, what?
Like, do you ever have trouble with like talent, like trying to like book the talent to come in the show?
Oh, like artists?
Yeah, like the honor show or something like that. But then they give you like some challenges, like
The runaround.
late, or they don't show
Oh my gosh, everyone's late. Nobody is on.
You weren't late now.
well, yeah, because you told me 12 o'clock sharp. And I was like, man, I gotta make a good impression on everyone. But I was rushing. Everyone's late, dude. Like, don't be that person who's late. But yeah, like, people are late all the time, and it makes our job hard, because if we're expecting Mariah Carey there at 7:30, like, your manager told us 7:30, so we're expecting 7:30. You come in at 8:30. We have a clock. We have things to do. So we'll fit you in because you're Mariah Carey. But the interview won't be long. And we won't, like, and they want to get interviewed because they want their stuff to go out. They want us to play their record. And, you know, if you come in being a jerk, like, we're not going to play your record. Just bottom line. So, yeah, people are late all the time.
What happens when, like, let's say you get, like, a late phone call, like, oh, they can't make it all of a sudden. Like, what do you guys do? Like, how quickly do you have to respond to like that?
Well, something that what Big does, he doesn't do interviews live, ever. So the interviews that you hear are playbacks. Okay. So, like, for instance, did you see the video for Justin Bieber when he, like, was rapping? That was really done a week before. So we just held on to the video and told his management team, if he does other interviews, like, this is ours now. Like, you're giving us the exclusive of him rapping. So, and he actually went to do Ryan Seacrest the day after we played it back. So Ryan Seacrest is live. So, you know, if they're late, they're late. If they cancel, you know, whatever, then it's not a big deal for us because we pre-record our stuff.
We have time for one more question.
What's the next step in your career path, and where do you see yourself in 10 or 15 years? And you can't say Power 106. What would your ideal dream job be?
I love that question. So, remember I told you guys I love music? Yes. I want to branch into music. And I see myself, 10, 15 years, I see myself working for a record label. I see myself maybe being an A&R for an artist. Now that, because I was in radio, well, I still am in radio, I have a radio ear. I have trained ears to know, I know what is a hit. I know something that's whack. I know when something needs something else. So I see myself working for a record label. I see myself starting my own thing. I'm very, remember I told you also that I don't like doing things the conventional way. I see myself, like, I just started a website. I see myself making money off of that website. I see myself, you know, with an artist, I see myself helping the artist grow. So I see myself going into a music route, not necessarily Power 106. If, you know, Power 106 ended up letting me go, I know that I can just, you know, go into music and start my own thing. And if I'm freaking out, I don't have a job, like, my website now is my job. And I'm starting my own thing. Like, don't be afraid to start your own thing. Don't be afraid to start your own radio show or your own podcast, because you can be the first one to have the dopest podcast online, and everyone go to that pod. It's never been done before. Drake got famous off of a mixtape. He had a single from his mixtape. He got famous off of that. No one's ever done that before, right? Be the first one.
Excuse Nicky G.
Let me write. Thank you. Let me write my Twitter account and stuff. That's my social media stuff, so you guys can add me and, you know.